Welcome to Honeybee Yoga Studio. My name's Lindsay, and I create yoga classes aimed at making you feel fantastic. Now, it's a wonderful time of year that involves lots of gardening, but unfortunately that means our bodies can get a little bit of wear and tear. So today we're going to work on opening up through our shoulders, our low spine, so we can feel great and get back to gardening. So let's get started in a seated posture. Nothing fancy. I'm gonna keep my legs crossed, but you can always keep longer legs, whatever feels good for you. Let's shimmy so that we feel those sit bones heavy in the earth. Let's let those hands come by our sides or on our thighs or our knees, and we'll take a couple breaths to drop into our practice. Feel your body becoming nice and still. With each inhale, feel that crown of your head lengthen up to the sky. And as you exhale, just let that breath escape. Let's really focus on our breath and how it feels moving through our bodies. Not making any changes, just feeling it flow in and out. And maybe making a mental note of any areas of your body that need any extra love or attention tonight. Let's take 2 more breaths here, and let's make them purposefully extra big, extra long, and extra deep. So whenever you're ready, taking a deep inhale, filling up that chest and our belly, and then exhale, let that breath go. Another big inhale, fill up all the way to those fingertips and toes, and then exhale that breath away. Let's start to bring some gentle movement into those wrists. We're actually going to reach our wrists forward. Let's clasp those hands together, intertwining our fingers, and we're just going to roll our hands in one direction. If you're like me, you're pulling a lot of weeds, and our hands could use a little bit of love. Let's switch the direction, rolling them the opposite way. And then we're going to unclasp our hands and reclasp them with the opposing thumb on top. And we're just going to roll them around one more time. And of course, taking time for the opposite direction. Then let's reach those hands forward. Let's intertwine our fingertips again, but then we're going to press the palms of our hands away from us. A breath or two here, really pressing those hands away. Then let's lift those hands above our head. Press those soles of our hands up towards the sky. Let's take a big inhale. And then as we exhale, we'll release those hands. Let's bring that right hand somewhere behind our right hip, left hand to the outside of that right knee. A long inhale to lengthen that spine. And as we exhale, let's twist to the right side. Gaze comes out that right shoulder. Another breath or two here, feeling length in that spine as we inhale, softening into the twist with our exhale. And we'll sweep those hands tall as we come back through center. Then let's move to the opposite side. So left hand behind our left hip, right hand to the outside of our left knee. Again, a big inhale, crown of our head lifts up to the sky so that when we exhale, we can twist through that spine, bringing our gaze over our left shoulder. Again, a breath or two here. then we'll slowly make our way back through center, facing forward. Those hands can rest, and we're going to take a few shoulder rolls. So rolling our shoulders up towards our ears and then back down towards the ground. Moving nice and slow. And then after we've gone a few times in one direction, we'll gently move to the opposite direction. Let's release those shoulders, come to stillness, and we're going to sweep our hands behind us, interlocking those fingers one more time. And then we're going to start to guide those fingertips towards the earth. So we're really pulling our hands behind us. Those shoulders are melting away from our ears. Our shoulder blades are coming together behind us. Let's lift that chin, gaze up to the sky, and invite lots of space through our collarbone and through our throat. Let's take another big breath here, pulling those hands down, lifting our chin. And then as we exhale, we're just gonna melt forward. You can release the tension in your arms, let that chin hang heavy. Let's release those hands from behind us, lifting ourselves momentarily through seated. We're going to roll over those knees onto hands and knees. Feel our hands under our shoulders, knees under our hips. And we're going to take a few rounds of cat and cow. So as we inhale, our belly button dips to the earth, gaze lifts, our spine smiles like a happy little cow. And then as we exhale, our gaze comes to the earth, our spine reaches up to the sky, and it frowns like an angry cat. So we'll move through our cat-cow breath a few times, letting our breath guide the way. And hopefully with each transition, each time you come into cat, each time you move into cow, we feel a little bit more space come into that spine. Let's take one more full round through your cat and through your cow. Big breaths. And then we'll find ourselves in a neutral tabletop. That spine is paralleling the earth. Crown of our head pulls forward, tailbone pulls behind. Let's lengthen that right leg behind us, toes comes into the earth. And then we'll press that heel behind us, shifting our weight towards the back of the mat, feeling a stretch come through the back of that right leg. We can take a little bit of organic movement, shifting forward to ease the stretch, and then pressing back behind us, intensifying the stretch. We can keep both hands down, or if we want to bring a little release into that spine, we can sweep our left hand up to the sky. We can stay with that left hand reaching, or maybe we bring a bend into the elbow, left hand behind that left ear. Feel that shoulder, our armpit open up. One more breath before we bring hands and knees back to the earth. We can take a shimmy and a shake before we move to the opposite side by lengthening that left leg long behind us, toes in the earth. Shifting our weight behind us, stretching the back of that left leg. And maybe shifting forward for a little release before shifting back again. Option this time to sweep that right hand up to the sky. And again, option to bend into that right elbow, bring that right hand behind our right ear. Another big breath here. And then we'll exhale, hands and knees back to the earth. From here, we're going to start to lower our belly, our chest onto the earth, bending through those elbows, lengthening our legs behind us. Let's walk those fingertips forward until our forearms are on the ground, elbows beneath our shoulders. And with a big inhale, we'll lift that chin, lift our gaze, and come into a gentle sphinx. As we feel that heart open in front of us, maybe we start to feel a little bit of compression through that spine. Let's take a peek over our left shoulder towards our left heel. And then over our right shoulder towards our right heel. And lowering back to the earth so we can slide those hands to come underneath our shoulders. As we inhale, this time we're going to press through our hands and start to lengthen our arms, lifting that chest and belly away from the earth. We don't have to lengthen our arms to be straight, just enough to open our front body a little bit more. As we exhale, we'll melt back down towards the earth. And let's do this 2 more times. So inhaling to bring length into those arms, opening our front body, lifting our chin, melt those shoulders away from our ears, and then exhale, melting back down. 1 more time, a big inhale, lengthen those arms, lift that chin, feel that front body open, and then exhale, melting back to the earth. From here, we're going to tuck those toes. We're going to bend through our knees so we can lift back up through hands and knees. From here, we're going to walk those hands all the way back towards our knees. Tuck those toes. Let those heels fall to the earth as your knees lift away from the earth. We'll start to lengthen our legs. Keep those hands nice and close to the earth and find ourselves coming into a forward fold. So you can have a bend in your knees if that feels better for you. And we're going to let our hands, our arms, our shoulders, and our head hang heavy towards the earth. As we're hanging towards the earth, we feel that tailbone lifting behind us. And almost like a waterfall or like a slinky, that spine is spilling forward, finding space. One last big inhale and exhale. We'll slowly start to unwind our spine, coming all the way up to standing, maybe moving a little slower than you would like to. As soon as that chin lifts, let's sweep our hands up to the sky. Take a nice big full body stretch. Let's walk those feet up to the front of our mats. We can keep those hands on our hips. We can place them a little bit wide for balance. We're going to lift that right foot off of the earth and step all the way to the back of our mats, coming into a tall lunge. From our tall lunge, we'll inhale our hands up to the sky. And then as we exhale, that right heel falls to the earth, right foot parallels the back of our mat. Left arm reaches forward, right arm behind, and let's sink into that front left knee and into our warrior 2. As we stay here for a couple breaths, feel that front left knee, almost like it's being pulled towards that front left baby toe. Feel some space come in through those inner thighs. Our next inhale, we'll bring that left hand up to the sky. Right arm walks down that right leg. And we're going to settle into our exalted warrior for a couple breaths. With each exhale, we're sinking into that front left knee. With each inhale, we're reaching that left hand behind us, We're trying to create as much space as we can through that left side body. We'll take another breath here. And then we'll start to bring those arms back to parallel the earth. We're going to sweep that right hand forward so we can lift that right heel off of the earth into our tall lunge. And we'll bring that back right knee all the way down to the floor. Those hands can come to that left thigh, and we're going to start to sink forward. So trying to bring some space into our hips, into that front right hip flexor. I kind of like to use the metaphor of a hammock. So our back right knee, our front left knee, and that left heel kind of act as the tree, and then our hips are like the hammock in between. So we can find movement, a little bit of organic movement, but trying to keep that left knee, left heel, and back right knee nice and solid. Let's take another big inhale. And then that exhale is going to bring our hands to the inside of our left foot. Going to tuck those back right toes so we can lift our right knee. And then we're going to walk our hands along the long edge of our mat, letting that right heel fall to the earth. We'll stop about halfway. Both of our toes face the right hand side. Let's press those hands into the floor. And then as we exhale, we're going to start to melt forward. In this version of our wide-legged forward fold, we can keep our hands on the earth if that feels good. We can keep our arms long if that feels better. Option to walk those hands away from you and help create some space through your shoulders and through your back body. If you're practicing outside or in the garden, you can always grip into the grass and let those hips and tailbone pull behind you. We'll take a couple more breaths, hopefully finding some release through our spine. After another big breath, we'll start to feel those hands come back underneath our shoulders, and we're going to walk our hands back towards our right foot. That right foot points to the back of our practice area. We'll feel that left heel lift, left toes grip into the ground, and let's inhale our hands tall into our tall lunge. This time feeling that stretch come through our left hip flexor. Another big inhale, and then use that exhale to transition to our warrior two. Left heel falls to the earth. Arms parallel the earth, right hand forward, left hand behind. And let's sink into that front right knee. Hanging out here again for a breath. Feel that front right knee pulling towards your right pinky. Our next inhale brings our right hand up to the sky, left arm walks down that left leg. In our exalted warrior, we'll continue to inhale and reach that right hand behind us. And as we exhale, we'll sink and soften into that front right knee. This time bringing as much space as we can into that right side body. Another big breath. And then we'll use the exhale to feel our arms come back to parallel the earth. Sweeping that left hand forward, lifting that left heel, coming onto our left toes, and then bringing that left knee all the way to the earth. Those hands can come to the top of that right thigh, and we find our low lunge once again. Now, I don't know if you guys can hear, I'm not sure if the microphone's picking it up, but we are in the middle of a thunderstorm, so I'm getting quite the show out the window here. It's not distracting at all, I promise. So again, let's keep that front right knee, back left knee nice and stable, and let those hips kind of sway in between. If at any time you find that mind is wandering, maybe thinking about all those plants you have to go plant or take care of, or weeds to be pulled, maybe we can bring our thoughts, our awareness back to our practice, back to this moment, and just feel our bodies and our breath. Using our next exhale, we'll find those hands coming to the inside of our right foot. Going to tuck those back left toes, lifting our left knees off of the earth. And then we're going to walk back to that forward folding straddle. So our hands walk about halfway up that right side of our mat. Both toes point to the right side. And now we have an option here to stay in our straddle. If this is what your body's asking for, let's enjoy it. You could try something different with your arms, maybe reaching opposite hands to opposite elbows, maybe clasping your hands together at your low spine. Or if you're looking for something a bit more active, we can use our straddle to come into a side lunge. So maybe bending into that right knee, sinking to the right side, and taking a side lunge. And then after a breath, walking your way to the left side. So whether we're taking that straddle, our forward fold, or taking a few of these side lunges, we're going to stay for about 4 more breaths. So if we're doing our side lunges, we'll see if we can get to each side, maybe 1 more time. Wherever we are, taking about 2 more breaths. Hopefully feeling lots of space coming in through our legs, that low spine. And then together, we'll feel ourselves in our neutral straddle, our neutral wide-legged forward fold with our hands firmly planted on the earth, long arms. We're going to reach that right hand all the way up to the sky. Now you might feel that left hip kind of start to tuck under your right hip, and that's perfectly fine. If you're getting a good stretch, then let's keep that. 1 more breath before we move to the opposite side, bringing our right hand back to the earth and sweeping our left hand tall. And another breath before bringing that left hand back to the earth. We're going to walk both hands to the front of our mats, to the inside of that left foot. And then taking 1 big jump or a couple little jumps, we're going to bring that back right foot all the way to the outside of our right hand. Now we can keep our legs long if that's what our body's asking for, or we can transition into our deep yoga squat. So we can start to bend through those knees, let that tailbone sink towards the earth. Option to lift our hands off of the earth, placing them in prayer, pressing our elbows into opposing knees. If this just isn't feeling good for you, you can always come onto your sit bones and pull your knees wide. Another option would be to place a yoga block or a thick cushion or pillow underneath your sit bones to bring the earth a little bit closer to your sit bones. We should feel a nice opening through our hips, but no pinching and no pain. And hopefully gravity is doing the most amount of work here. Let's take another long breath. And if our hands are lifted, we're going to let them come back into the earth. We're going to lengthen those legs long so we can come into our forward fold, heel-toeing those feet to come back underneath our hips. Pressing those hands into the earth, we're going to step back with both legs. Momentarily coming into our tall plank, option to lower to our knees. And then we're going to slowly lower our belly, our chest, all the way to the earth. Reverse push-up or chaturanga. So we can come, have long legs, belly, chest in the earth. From here, we're going to bend into both of our knees. Let the soles of our feet reach up to the sky. And then we're going to start to reach back with our hands. So if we aren't able to make it to our feet, no worries at all. You can just continue to reach back with those hands and squeeze those heels towards your bum cheekers. Or if we can reach back and grab those hands around our ankles, maybe we can make that hand to foot connection. If we do, let's press those ankles into our hands, kicking them away from us. Feeling those shoulders open, maybe our belly, our chest, our heart start to lift away from the earth as we come into our version of bow. Let's take one more big breath here. Last big stretch through our shoulders, through our collarbone. And then we'll exhale to release those legs long behind us. Bring our hands beneath our chin, either stacking our hands or stacking our fists. And we'll take 2 to 3 breaths. Feel both of those hips, our knees, our thighs, our feet heavy in the earth. Enjoying one more breath here. Let's start to slide those hands underneath our shoulders, bending our knees, just lifting up through our tabletop, hands and knees. Let's swing those feet to one side so we can come to seated and lengthen those legs long in front of us. Feel our toes lift up to the ceiling. Feel that crown of our head tall, reaching up to the sky. Let's sweep our hands wide and tall with a big inhale. And then as you exhale, start to melt forward. Try to keep those hands in the crown of our head reaching to the front of the room. And then when you can't reach forward and fold anymore, we'll let those hands come to the earth, to our thighs, to our shins, maybe all the way to our feet. And let that chin hang heavy. We're going to take about 4 more breaths here. And with each inhale, maybe we feel the crown of our head lengthen a little bit further away from our tailbone. And maybe with each exhale, we melt a micromillimeter closer to our legs. One more long breath. Let's slowly start to unwind our spine, coming nice and tall. And our final big stretch in our practice today is going to be double pigeon or fire log. And don't let the name intimidate you. What we're going to do is we're going to first take our right leg and have it come into the earth. And maybe it's trying to parallel the front of your mat. Maybe that right foot and right knee are trying to come out from your hips in alignment with those hips. Let's take that left foot and see if we can stack it somewhere below that right knee. So maybe we can take a peek at those shins, and it looks like we have 2 fire logs stacked on top of each other. From here, we're going to take about 3 or 4 breaths. We have an option to stay nice and tall, or if it's for you, those hands can come to the earth and start to walk away from your body. If they do, feel free to bow that head, bow our chin. One more long breath. Start to walk those hands back towards our legs. Taking as much time as we need to, slow and steady. We're going to release that left foot to the earth in front of us, followed by our right, keeping a bend in those knees, hands to the floor behind us, and we'll let our knees kind of windshield wipe from side to side. Hopefully we're feeling a bit more space through our hips and our thighs. So now this time, we're going to move to the left side. So that left leg will come into the earth. Again, maybe that shin is trying to parallel the front of our mat, trying to keep that knee coming out from our hip, and maybe that left foot is in alignment with our right hip. Remember, every body is built differently, so it's not going to look the same for everyone. We're going to take that right foot and see if we can stack it somewhere beneath that left knee. So you can see for me, they don't really look like stacked fire logs, but it feels fantastic, and really that's what matters. So again, option to keep those hands on our legs, staying lifted nice and tall, or option to bring those hands to the earth and walk them away from us. If we do, we can let that chin and our forehead bow forwards. One more long breath. And then slowly, those hands come back to our legs. One more time, we'll let the soles of our feet come into the earth in front of us, knees bend, hands onto the floor, and we will windshield wiper those knees side to side. To close our practice, we'll find ourselves coming into our version of cobbler. So we'll let the soles of our feet come together, our knees splay wide. And now you can let those feet be further away from you if that feels better. You can have them a bit separated if that feels good. But we're really just finding our final posture to allow gravity to do the last little ounce of work. Feeling those knees gently be tugged towards the earth. We're going to bring our hands towards our shins if we can, or maybe towards our knees. Those shoulders are stacked above our hips. We have a long spine. If we're comfortable too, maybe our eyelids get heavy. And let's allow ourselves about 6 to 8 breaths of stillness and of peace to help absorb all of that movement and stretching that we just completed together. Take about 3 to 4 more breaths. If that mind is wandering away, we'll see if we can pull it back to this moment. Maybe count your remaining breaths, counting in and out. Let's take that last breath extra deep. As you inhale, feel that breath travel past your heart to your belly button, expanding that breath all the way to your fingertips and your toes. And then take a long, slow exhale. If those eyelids got heavy, we'll allow them to start to open. Excuse me. We'll start to bring some wiggles into our fingertips, our toes, our wrists, and our ankles. We can take a gentle seated posture, and we'll close our practice with 2 big breaths. I'm going to take nice long legs after all of those cross legs. Let's sweep those hands wide and up to the sky, and then exhale them wide and heavy back to the earth. Another big inhale. This time our gaze meets our hands as they come together in prayer and melt all the way down to our hearts. Let's take a bow for ourselves and a bow for our practice. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you feel all stretched out, ready to get back out there in the garden with a nice loved body, joints, and muscles. If you enjoyed this class, I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Let me know your favorite posture and maybe your favorite thing to plant. I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you aren't already. Take care.